Recently, the sequel to the updated design of Modern Warfare 3 released, and well, it sucks. Let me rephrase it by saying the story kind of sucked. I didn't play it myself, just watched a streamer do it, so I can't say for myself how the game is personally, but I can vouch for the other two. Also, for context, I'm borrowing footage from others as I don't want to flood my computer with terabytes of games that I'll only play for footage. So I'll credit you and link you below, just wanted to give a heads up in advance. With this new remake of the Modern Warfare series, I both liked it and loathed it as well. While graphically the game looks amazing with motion capture and sheer detail, there's something missing from the series that it takes direct inspiration from. 2007 may seem like a long time ago, but time flies and we don't even realize it. The original release of Modern Warfare back on the 360 and PS3 was a game changer in the first-person genre, both in gameplay department but also the story. For a quick recap of it, you play as two characters, Sergeant John Soap McTavish of the SAS, and Sergeant Paul Jackson of the Marines. The story opens with the death of a major Middle Eastern politician by a radical known as Al-Assad. The Americans rush in to put down the radical faction and restore order to the region, when the iconic scene that shaped the series plays out.
NES teams are on site and attempting to disarm. I repeat, we have a confirmed nuke. Everyone hang on!
The nuke scene, wiping out 30,000 men in a moment that causes the global powers to panic. The SAS, on the other hand, have been tracking Al-Assad behind the scenes and discover that a Cold War-era Russian ultranationalist named Zakhaev is behind it all. The SAS and USMC both team up in a desperate gambit and eventually stop Zakhaev from launching nuclear weapons against America. Now that's like baby's first recap here, but I also want to touch on the plot of the first one of the Modern Warfare remake real quick.
I was so focused on the guy on the right. This might make a little bit of noise. Oh shit, no! I gotta go. Stream's over.
You have a similar idea with CIA officer Alex and Sergeant Gaz and Captain Price of the SAS working together in separate realms. Alex is hunting stolen chemical weapons with the help of an Urzikstan resistance group, while Price and Gaz are hunting the Wolf, a major terrorist behind the scenes. Both eventually cross paths when they meet up in Georgia to push out the Russian occupiers of the country, ending with the death of a Russian officer that hunted another main character, Farah, and the supposed death of Alex and Price forming Task Force 141. Now, where's the problem here? I barely remember anything about it, and that was even with research. The story itself is largely inconsequential as it is. You have characters returning, bombastic set pieces, exceptional gameplay and graphics, and a mission that is memorable to the remake. So the problem is that it's dull as shit. The story brings back those characters and does absolutely jack all with them, tries to mimic iconic moments of the OG series with half the effort and impact of the original. Now, I get what they were going for, a more grittier and down-to-earth Call of Duty, which they succeeded for about a game and a half, but recent additions have literally gamified the game. As dumb as that fucking sounds, they turned it from mission set pieces that had some sense of realism to goofy run-and-gun jumping and sliding. For example, let's take a look at a similar level from Modern Warfare 3 and OG Modern Warfare 2, both having major character reveals. Both have missions that revolve around a gulag, but one takes the subtle approach and the other the insane. Yet, the remake MW3 is dull with the reveal of Makarov, a series of villain that only just appeared in this game, but they try and hype him up as the Giga Chad that he really is. He's not. Plus, this motherfucker looks like a generic NPC you pick in an RPG. Meanwhile, you have fighter jets, battleships, and little birds and SAS assaulting it and throwing the fun meter into overdrive and ending with a literal explosive finale, all to rescue Prisoner 627, who in this case is Captain Price. While the opening mission of the remake does try and set that tone, again, it's still goofy with the reveal of Makarov, who is supposed to be a global threat. The two set pieces are definitive opposites, but they're completely different in terms of overall fun and tone. I get that they want to build the hype and set the mood of one game while the other is in the middle of the current story, but for God's sakes, man, have some fun with it. It's not that they aren't trying with it, it's the fact that everything in the story feels so hollow compared to everything else in the world. The sequel is just as bad for the remakes. Hunting down a rogue terrorist, Mexican cartels, the betrayal of Shadow Company, now a PMC, that also includes Makarov's group as a PMC as well, the Kony group, Again, I understand the realism aspect, but demoting everything to PMCs is counterintuitive. They're contractors, they work for money. The moment you take that money away, they lose any interest they have in the conflict. That's why ideology works better. Remember when Makarov convinced the Russian government to go to war over a false flag operation by killing hundreds of civilians and blaming it on America? The writing team wants to make the player feel nostalgic of original moments they remember from the OG while having none of the impact of them, which also doesn't help that the story continues even after the credits roll. Warzone, the game mode that comes with the remakes, releases seasons that include story content and introduce new characters, give snippets of cutscenes with already established characters, while also setting up plots in the background. Now, let this be a key note for future game developers. If you make extra media to expand your story, that's fine and dandy, but the game alone should be able to tell a coherent story on their own without any outside interference. However, if you include content that majorly changes storylines and requires me to read up on them before I play the main game, then you've failed as a developer. Do not make me do homework before I play a fucking video game. For someone who doesn't play Warzone, I don't get these snippets of story, and when I approach the next game, I see characters find out story beats I wasn't privy to, all to set up major villains and arcs that fall flat overall. In my humble opinion, I think the problem with the remake is that it's too grounded. While yes, it didn't make a lick of fucking sense why General Shepard, a 3-star, was on the front lines with a 44 big iron on his hip, it was badass. The OG series had a story that was relatively easy to follow with the spectacle to back it up, with epic set pieces, explosive scenes, and the music. Jesus Christ, the music, especially the 2009 MW2 composed by Hans Zimmer, brought out some of the most iconic tracks of the series. The remake trilogy, I don't believe, has a single piece of music that has any oomph to it, and that bothers me immensely. While you can have great set pieces, if you don't have music that'll stay with you for weeks, months, or even years at a time, you'll honestly forget it. Case in point, I haven't played Modern Warfare 2007 for decades at this point, and I still recall it, but the 2019 variant is a ghost of a blur to the point where I had to look up the plot to make this video. While I'm sure the multiplayer is great and the gameplay is top-notch, that I can't really argue against. The remake series falls flat in a lot of areas that doesn't bring the same charm and spectacle to it all. If anything, the story falls flat for pointless melodrama that goes nowhere, bringing back iconic characters for shits and giggles, and has a story that has no grand impact in the world. So yes, Modern Warfare has a problem that's easily fixed, but that depends on the writers themselves. Really, the only reason they remade the series is obviously money, but the OG series is still readily available for multiple consoles and Steam. While yes, the story in the OG is ridiculous in some areas, you'll get around 18 hours of straight entertainment from the trilogy that is hard to get anywhere else, compared to 30 hours of subpar fun and action. And that's why it still stands the test of time and the fun factor. And really, that's why we play games, for the fun factor. Anyway, that's all I got for you. See you next time, lads.